Learn the latest contract extension news as today, Reece James commits to signing a new 6-year deal, with many other players set to sign new deals as well too, followed by players who have recently signed new deals too. To move on, we have more updates on Edson Alvarez, we discuss a crazy bid made for Romeo LAVIA from Southampton, and we talk more things about the club as McCall leaves us, plus much more news. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Apologies for the mini hiatus. To keep things real, I've got a holiday on the 7th, so in the next few days. So it's my first holiday since before lockdown, so I had to get new of everything, like new suitcase, so much shopping and packing and prep, and it's taken so much time. But don't worry, when I'm on holiday, there's still going to be videos on content being dropped, so make sure you guys stay tuned on BlueLionsTV. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and getting straight into things. So now, let's start with things and let's talk Scott McCall, as finally he has left Chelsea Football Club. He leaves his prior role acting as our head of international scouting, and I guess it only made sense knowing the fact that Todd Boehly is bringing in his own people and his own guys to run the club in his direction and his vision that he has. So naturally, Scott McCall was going to bounce eventually. Reports say that he has found a new executive level role at another club. We don't know the name of this club though, but I don't think any of us really care like that. But to be honest with you, I could say so many things, but I don't want to be too negative. I don't want to pretend that he hasn't been important for us over the decade that he has been at this club, because he's been here for a very long time. He first got his role in the 2011-12 season. So it's not like he's only ever done negatives, but I think for me, ultimately my main criticism of him would be the fact that I think that he was capped, in the sense that he isn't someone with his vision or his strategies that could take us to the next level. Now, I do understand that he's worked under constraints, because when Marina was here, of course, we were really paying a lot of respect towards financial fair play. That was really dictating what we could do in windows. That's why we had to sell a lot of players first to generate the money to sign new players. But you think that with all the data analysts and all the incredible scouts we already had existingly at this club here, that we'd have better decision making at the top to take advantage of all of this. And I think for me, this is the area of criticism. It don't matter how incredible your tools are to scout and assess players, when it comes down to that bottleneck being the human decision making at the end. And I just feel like there was this really bait examples. We all know the one of preferring Saul over Romeo, made no sense. But I think one of the prime ones for me, he played a significant part in that 17-18 transfer window, but we signed guys like your Barclays, your Emersons, your Bakayokos, so many poor players that have really cost us over the years, and we still haven't even sold all these guys. Bakayoko's the final one left, but his strategy at the time was for the club to look towards signing players like your Emersons, your Barclays, players that suffered some injuries where their market value had dropped, thinking that by signing for us we could elevate their game and raise their game up, where of course they'd be worth a lot more money in the future, and maybe it could be options where you sell them on to flip to reinvest back in the team, or could just be like cheap options that have potential to do big things here, which was never ever going to be the reality. Like, I remember all those years back, I was in my feelings, getting really annoyed by the fact that we signed Will Sparkley. I had Brexit flags everywhere. I just was not understanding that, and in the end I was proven right. Yeah, good luck to him though. Of course, he signed for Nice. That should be a decent move for him, but I think that is the main area that kind of frustrated me over the years. I think that Todd Boehly probably understands of the inefficiency that's been happening at this club. He's got the money to fix those issues, and he's got the right experts and the right people in these positions to know what they're doing and take advantage. So I do have to say good luck to Scott McCall. I'm sure he'll do well elsewhere, but I think for me, I'm even happier knowing that we are going in a better direction now. So now, let's move on to the next story, and let's discuss Edson Alvarez. Now, it seems like we haven't given up on trying to sign our man in the January window. That is the major news coming out right now, and for me, I'm quite happy by that. Now, yes, we have signed Zakaria on loan for the season. Let's hope he does well. I think that due to the profile in which we need him, and the fact that even at Juventus last season, he wasn't bad. He just needed more game time. Had the wrong injuries at the wrong time that killed a little bit of momentum. But I definitely understood why we took the gamble on seeing what he could do for us. So I think him alongside Edson Alvarez potentially in January, that could potentially help ease the transitioning for when maybe guys like Kante leave or Jorginho. Now, some reports have suggested that the club have asked Kante to reduce his overall wage packet because you know, he is suffering more injuries these days. Kante could argue that the reason why I'm in this situation is because you keep rushing me back left, right and centre all the time. I don't know where you guys fall on that side of the argument, but in the case of Jorginho as well, this report came out from the Evening Standards, and it does state that maybe Jorginho is looking to wind his contract down and leave on a free, which would make a lot of sense. I mean, number one, it becomes a lot more attractive then for Serie A clubs who don't have the money that Prem clubs do to just splash 30-40 mil on him. And on top of that as well, he can command very nice signing on fees and bonuses. So you'd imagine that would be the strategy if he does go. And I think for me, the fact that we're turning towards signing more DM profiles in the team is a nice transition into next season where, I don't know, let's be hypothetical. Imagine, for example, Zakaria doesn't necessarily work out. He's moved on, and then you make a massive move for Declan Rice. All those possibilities are still available. But anyway, let's continue on with the main story. We know that Ajax blocked Alvarez's move right in the end because our bid came after the Dutch window were closed. So that was going to make things very, very hard. Ajax wanted to sign a replacement first before allowing any moves to happen. Alvarez did everything in his power to force a move through, but in the end, it didn't really do anything. So it does seem like we've given assurances to Alvarez that we are going to come back and we are going to try and sign him again in January. It's believed that Ajax will be a lot more lenient and open to allowing the player to leave as well. The main thing was for them, they had no time to sign replacements. So when you're wasting that much time and making moves for players like this in the final moments of the window, I mean, it's going to be a gamble, no? Still though, at around, what, £42 million, £38 million, it's quite a decent fee. I think if we do begin to transition away from our existing midfield, I think slowly introducing DMs to the team will make a big difference, especially guys that can also play in a back three as well too. So January is looking very exciting. Alvarez back on the cards. You're looking at moves for Gavardio, trying to get him wrapped up and secured, as well as Rafael Leao too. And I kind of wish we've spent the entire window focusing on Rafael Leao, because look at the way this guy's starting the Serie A season now. I mean, the goals versus Inter Milan is unreal. So right now, let's move on to the next story. And let's discuss one of the surprising moves on deadline day, which fell through in the end. And that was our crazy attempt by offering Southampton 50 million to sign their new recent signing in Romeo LAVIA. Now, we all saw LAVIA absolutely outclass them in fields when we played against them. I thought he took his goal superbly well. He's a young Belgian player with tons of potential. He's had a massive rep in the youth setup for years as well too. And you know what, maybe I'll say this right now, but sometimes I get a little bit confused. I'm looking at Man City signing Calvin Phillips for £42 million. And I'm discussing a story right now where I'm talking about us offering more money than what City signed Phillips for to begin with. And it's just like, why do they not just keep LAVIA there instead and not waste their money on Phillips, you know? And I feel like this is what Southampton have understood. And I really like their strategy, because I've never really understood the logic sometimes behind big clubs spending so much money on their academies, signing the very best teenage talent for their academies as well too. They're successful, they dominate at youth levels. However, when it comes to making that step up to the first team, there's no pathways there. First teams and the rest of the clubs seem to be quite alien. They don't kind of complement each other enough. So for me, it's very smart that finally a club in this country is taking advantage of the abundance of teenage talent that we have here and sign these guys for peanuts. I think that's more than fair. I think that's more than logical, especially when these are Prem ready level talents that just can't get the opportunities based on the fact that there's so many seniors and experienced guys that are on big money contracts, etc, etc. So the fact that we decided to make a very cheeky move to try and sign LAVIA for 50 million says a lot about this guy's potential, what he can bring. I imagine that we were very impressed by his overall performance against us, because he really stood out, really shone against us, and has been one of the top young midfield players in the Premier League as the season has come back. But anyway, the main reason why we couldn't get this deal done for him was based on the fact, again, that Southampton had no time to find replacements at all. And, you know, I understand why we made moves in the end. It works for us. You know, we got Zakaria at least, who I think would be quite interesting to keep things real. But you're never going to sign someone on deadline day like that. Let's be realistic. So right now, let's end things by discussing all the latest contract extension news. Earlier today, Reece James committed to signing a new 6-year deal taking his existing deal now to 2028. He signs a bumper deal worth around 250k a week, so he's one of the highest earning players here. And one of the main reasons as to why Todd Boehly has given James such a high contract is that he wants to move away from what the old regime was doing by offering bumper wages to big money signings all the time, man. When you see how poor the success rate tends to be behind them, in the end, they end up being like a massive pain in our asses. And knowing the fact that, you know, you've got guys who are consistently putting in performances in the first team, you can't take that for granted. You have to acknowledge that. And I think that is always the best motivating factor, actually, to get players to, you know, work for the contracts and deals they want. So, of course, I'm very happy we've secured him. I'm very happy by that. You'd imagine that your Madrids and Man Cities will still probably come and test us in the future. That doesn't stop that from happening. But it's a massive sign of intent from Reece James. It's a sign of the projects we're building at this club here as well too. You know, attracting a lot of young players, you know, tying down a lot of key players to deals as well too. And for me, I just can't help but feel like really, really excited by what's happening at this club. Of course, here's what Todd Boehly had to say after this contract extension news. He says, "We are thrilled to give Reece a new long-term contract at Chelsea. He is outstanding as a player and a true Chelsea man. We are looking forward to watching him continue to flourish at Stamford Bridge." And Reece James had this to say: "I am over the moon with my new contract, and I'm thankful for the fans, the new ownership, and everyone involved in the club. I cannot wait to see what the future holds, and I'm sure we will have a chance of winning many trophies. I grew up supporting this club, and I've been here since I was 6 years old. I put pen to paper on a new deal because this is the club I want to be at. I'd like to say a special thanks to the fans. I'm here to stay, and we have a bright future ahead of us." So I'm very happy about this news. It seems like Mason Mount and Edouard Mendy aren't too far off now from signing new contract extensions, and I think they are thoroughly deserved because they have been some of our most consistent and trusted players now over the past few seasons. Mason Mount will get a massive long-term deal. We have to commit him here because the guy's won our Player of the Year now for 2 seasons in a row, so he has to get some respect. But regardless, let's end things by discussing more contract news. We know that Armando Broja committed to signing a new 6-year deal recently as well too. Now he doesn't have to worry about his future, no more speculation away from the club. And as he himself said, he's been here since he was a kid. You know, he wants to play here, he wants to be here, and he's looking forward to learning from Aubameyang as well too. And I hope that I get to see Broja playing in tomorrow's game. I think it's only fair for him to get more of an opportunity. Let's see what he can do with Zagreb. And on top of this, we have big news surrounding Charlie Webster as he is close now to signing another long-term deal. And you'd imagine that it will be around 6 years. All you guys that are familiar with the academy, you've probably been familiar with Charlie Webster now for a few seasons. And, you know, he is kind of in like that cover mode. The guy is great with both feet, a great playmaker. He's very brave. He can defend as well too. He's not afraid to get stuck in. I feel like he's kind of bolts up physically. He's looking a lot stronger when I see him play, and that's the impact he has playing for us too. You know, the close control, the skill. For me, I thought this is a player that Tuchel would love. So I do hope he gets some opportunities as this season does go on, because this guy is a super talent. So there you guys have it. That's all the latest news that has been dropping recently. I am probably going to release my match preview early tomorrow morning instead, because now I need to go get my hair cut. I've got a few more things to run, so realistically it'll be quite hard to release a preview later tonight, so bear with me, you guys. On that note, I'm NiniFC, this is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.